Get out. You're not welcome here. The words hit me like a tidal wave, knocking the air right out of me as I stood frozen in the doorway of my own beach cottage. My duffel bag slipped off my shoulder, my pulse racing as I stared at my sister's husband, Mark. His face twisted with disgust. Behind him, his entire family, parents, siblings, cousins lounged around my living room, sipping from my mugs, their sandy shoes grinding dirt into my hardwood floors. I'm Elise, 34, a marine ecologist from Wilmington, North Carolina. This cottage, perched on the edge of Wrightsville Beach, was my pride and joy, bought with years of long nights studying coral reefs and saving every spare penny. Yet here I was, being treated like a trespasser in my own home. Mark, this is my house, I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the anger bubbling inside. He smirked, arms crossed. Leia said we could use it. Family reunion. You're not invited, so leave. I looked past him and found my sister, Leia, in the kitchen fussing with a cheese platter, carefully avoiding my eyes. 2 days ago, at her cousin's wedding, I told her I was coming here to recharge after a brutal research season. She'd smiled and wished me a good trip. Now her silence screamed betrayal. Leia, I called out, cutting through the noise. Did you forget I was coming? She shrugged, still glued to her phone. You're always working, Elise. I figured you cancel. The place is empty most of the time anyway. Mark stepped closer. We've got 20 people here. You're one. Do the math. Go back to Wilmington. The room went quiet. Everyone stared at me like I was ruining their vacation. I'd always been the peacemaker, the one who lent Leia money, babysat her kids, kept the peace. But this crossed a line. I smiled, cold and sharp. Fine, enjoy your weekend. Mark blinked, clearly not expecting me to back down so easily. I turned, walked out, and drove to a nearby diner. My hands trembled as I called my lawyer, Sarah, then my property manager, and finally someone I hoped I'd never need again. By dusk, my plan was in motion. That night, I checked into a small motel, the hum of the ocean outside my window both soothing and painful. Was I really doing this, risking my relationship with my sister over a house? Then I pictured Mark's smug grin and Leia's indifference. Yes, I was. Growing up, Leia was a golden child, 3 years older, always the center of attention. I was a quiet one, buried in books about ocean life. Our parents loved us both, but her light always seemed to shine brighter. I didn't mind. My life, my career, my cottage, they were mine, built without anyone's help. I'd given Leia a key because I believed family meant trust. I was wrong. The next morning, I met Sarah in Wilmington. They're trespassing, she said, jotting notes. You could call the police, but with Leia having a key, it's tricky. Then she leaned forward, eyes glinting. Or, we make them regret stepping foot in your home. I smiled faintly. Tell me how. By noon, everything was set. Utilities off. Sheriff's notice filed. Every step perfectly legal, perfectly ruthless. I sat at a beachside cafe, sipping coffee and waiting. Around 3, Sarah called. It's done. They're feeling it now. Minutes later, my phone rang again. Leia. Her voice was high-pitched and panicked. Elise, the power's out. The water too. What did you do? I'm the owner, I said calmly. I turned off utilities for people staying without permission. You're welcome to leave. You're heartless. Mark's parents are elderly. Then take them somewhere else, I said coolly. Like Mark told me to do. She hung up in a fury. Then Mark called, voice dripping with anger. You'll pay for this. My mom's diabetic. Then book a hotel, I said. Oh, and you've got until 6 before the sheriff arrives for trespassing. A few minutes later, my parents called. Elise, this isn't you, Mom pleaded. Let them stay. No, I said firmly. They crossed the line. I'm done being the family doormat. By 5:45, I was parked near the cottage, watching them load up their cars with angry, defeated faces. Leia stood on the porch, arms crossed, staring at the ground. When the sheriff arrived right at 6, he cleared the house quietly and efficiently. When I finally stepped inside, my heart sank. The place was a mess, wine stains on the rug, cigarette butts on the deck, drawers pulled open. And worst of all, my grandmother's sapphire ring was missing. It was an heirloom, the one she'd worn while teaching me to love the sea. I called Leia. The ring's gone. Someone stole it. You're paranoid, she snapped. Maybe you lost it. I'm filing a police report, I said. Find it, or I'll name everyone who stayed there. The next day, Officer Rivera came by, photographing the damage. Without proof, it'll be hard to prove theft, she warned. I'll get proof, I told her. That night, Mark's sister, Tara, called. Elise, I wasn't there, but Mark's been struggling, bad investments, debt. He might have taken it. My stomach turned. It all made sense. A week later, Officer Rivera called again. We found your ring in a pawn shop. Security footage shows Mark selling it Saturday night. My chest tightened. What happens now? We're arresting him for grand larceny. The ring's valued at 5,000. The arrest made the local news. My parents called begging me to drop the charges. He's family, they said. He stole from me. I answered. And you all let it happen? Months later, Leah showed up at the cottage looking shattered. I was wrong, she cried. Mark lied about everything, the debts, the ring, all of it. I'm divorcing him. I forgave her. But carefully. Rebuilding trust takes time. Mark was sentenced to 2 years for theft and embezzlement. His life fell apart piece by piece. My parents, hit hard by their own financial troubles, finally apologized. But the cracks in our family remain. Now, the cottage is mine again, peaceful, filled with friends and laughter instead of freeloaders. I may have lost a family that took me for granted, but I found something stronger, my self-respect. Standing on the deck, the ocean whispering beneath a fading sun, I realized I hadn't just reclaimed my home. I'd reclaimed myself.